Welcome everyone to Chess the TV episode 349. Today is April 18th, 2017. A great day to play some chess. Today we are celebrating a huge milestone in the life of the Wiz. Let's go take a look at my profile and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Here we are at LeetChess.org. I go Chess Wiz in the upper right and click profile. I have hit a huge milestone here. Not quite, almost. Take a look. Games played 14,999. Today we are celebrating our 15,000th chess game. So today we're going to play a slower, more thoughtful game and kind of talk through the moves as we play them. I've gotten some requests for, hey, can you please play an episode where you are, like paying attention to the chess or something? I actually want to learn something from you. So let's do that today. It's going to be a slower game because we have enough time to play the whole game, just one episode, just one game, the whole episode, whatever. So that'd be 15 minutes per side. And let's do a 4-second increment because I love 4 seconds. It's my favorite quantity of seconds. So throw that challenge out there. Anyone can click this if they are rated 1800 or higher. So we're looking for a serious opponent who's going to give us a good game here. There's a lot of other hourglasses in the area I see. I could play 15-0, 15-0. Maybe I should take one of these. Interesting. Well, I'll stay here for a few moments and see if I get a taker. If we don't, I'll just take one of these challenges. I'm waking up with a little bit of a frog in my throat. Hopefully not literally. I'm going to play against Gagiv here. No, I'm going to wait. What should I do? Decision's been made for me. That's perfect. Perfect. Happens in life sometimes. You're just sitting there paralyzed, and all of a sudden you don't have to choose anymore. You died of old age. So we're going to wait a little bit longer. Now I've decided I'm definitely going to click any hourglasses in this area. You can see my rating 1808. Maybe that's not the most impressive, but if you think about it, that's because I never play slow chess, so it's just kind of a stagnant rating. Hello, this is Ans Jovis. He is a well-known Chess with TV subscriber, watcher, cool guy. So we're going to be playing against a cool Chess Whiz watcher today, not just any random stranger. It's going to be awesome. So e4 is the best starting move for chess. The reason is it lets pieces out quickly, not so much the queen. You're not bringing the queen out in the beginning, but the bishop can come out immediately. Plus, it takes a stake in the center here. The pawn attacks both directions. I like to play knight c3 against the Sicilian here. A lot of players, most players, plays knight f3 and then d4, which is called the open Sicilian. It kind of takes a faster stake in the center of the board and counteracts black's attack of the center squares here. But I like the closed Sicilian because it allows me to play f4, which is one of my favorite moves, and start launching an attack against the enemy king in this direction, following the red arrows, generally speaking. E6 is my opponent's move, so I will throw f4 out there. Let's see how this goes. Now against d5, you'd see this shape similar to a French defense, but white does not have to push or take. White can just leave the pawn there. And in the French, white does not tend to leave. The pawn doesn't stay there for a long time, right? In the French defense, if white plays knight c3 or knight d2 against that, then the pawns will be captured immediately. But in this line, if d5, you can actually just leave those pawns there for a long time, which is just fine. Black doesn't really want to take. I'm thinking he's going to play d5 pretty soon here. That's why I'm talking about it. Because it leaves this pawn kind of silly looking out by itself if you lose this, if you trade these two pawns. And I'd be capturing back with my pawn, so my pawn, this guy wouldn't look as silly as that one. Okay, so there's d5. I could play the pin. I'm actually going to play e3 so that I can capture back with a pawn and keep these two pawns side by side. Pawns side by side are so powerful together because they attack a nice spread of squares. See this? Every single square in front of the pawns are attacked by the two pawns. So you definitely want two pawns side by side. As soon as you push one like this, you don't have that awesome control because you're only attacking black squares suddenly, like this, you know what I mean? You're not attacking any of the light squares, which is what only attacking black squares really is if you think about it. And that means you're not controlling the board the way you were. Also, the pawn in back is a little bit more vulnerable because the other guy's not nearby. Okay. It's my opponent's turn. So let's just wait for him. I got a question in the chat from Peace. He says, hello, do you solve puzzles on Chess sometimes? Yes, there's actually several episodes on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com, search for Chess Whiz, say, no, I didn't want Cheese Whiz, and then you type in the search puzzles or parties because I also party when I puzzle. Then you'll definitely find the episodes where we solve puzzles. I should do another one like that pretty soon. It's a great, great idea. Guy in the chat says, "This is the first time I've watched live. I've been watching your videos since episode 24. That is amazing. That's almost as long as I've been watching. I'm really happy to see this guy push his pawn, though, to d4. This gives, I feel like it kind of gives me the edge because I have this extra space over here and just generally speaking, a great plan of attacking on the king side. Meanwhile, his attack is going to be much slower on this side of the board. So I'm happy to play like this. The downside is this bishop. I don't like it sitting on here on f1. I would much rather have it out in the board doing something that instead of blocked behind my pawn. So that's too bad. Definitely sad. So I'm going to try to sort out the rest of my pieces here. Definitely going to castle. I think I'll castle king side. I could castle to the queen side, but that would be casting into some danger as he would then pawn storm me in the face. That could be leading to my own demise. The king side is actually quite safe if you're pawn storming on the side of your own king, because you're taking that space on that side of the board. It's safer than it seems to be pushing those pawns. So I actually wouldn't mind h3, g4, start moving these pawns forward. Although I really need to get my pieces out. You see, I've just moved my 2 knights, haven't moved any other pieces yet. So for me to move more pawns like this, it's a little bit premature. I need to focus on my pieces first. There's a knight f6, great move for my opponent. So how do I get this bishop out? I mean, I could play this move, but I don't have any follow-up for the f1 bishop. Maybe I see g3 maybe, and then bishop over. That would at least get the bishop quickly. Or h3, g4, and the bishop over. But it's awfully pawn heavy of a plan. And if he kind of cracks that apart with maybe h5, and it's hard to hold this together, yeah, don't like it because I'm just not developed enough. So I'm going to play the slower way with g3, bishop g2, and castles. It's slower in terms of the attack because then when I want to push more pawns, I have to play h3, g4. That's a lot of slow pawn moves, but it's faster in terms of development because in just 2 moves, I get the bishop out of the way, then I can castle and the development moves forward. So it's a trade-off between, am I playing toward the middle game where I want to be moving those pawns forward? Because I kind of do. If he castles, I do want to roll this pawn up to g5 and really give him a pain. But on the other hand, I need to get the pieces out quick because something could happen in the center. I mean, if I'm sitting here with my 2 bishops on c1 and f1 and bam, the center opens up, I'm going to be a sitting duck. So I need to get that sorted quickly. So bishop e7, bishop g2. He could not play bishop d6, by the way. It might look like it's doing something, but it's getting forked is what it's doing. And he does not like to fork himself. Artem, I don't have time for your game. Sorry, I'm just playing 1 game today. It would be fun to play against Artem as well, like 2 games at once. We've definitely done that a couple times on the show. But game 15,000 and game 15,001 just doesn't have the same ring to it. So if I castle right now, I move into this dangerous diagonal. He could play like this. I think I'm safe, though. I think there's no danger. I mean, if he pushed and I took him and then he pushed with discovered check and took my knight, that's the naive case where he wins some material. But I think I'm just fine. If he pushes, I don't have to do anything. So I'll just castle. My plan is to move to h1 where I'm much safer. I'm not on that dangerous diagonal. And then there's no harm with having his queen sitting here. It's not really facing my king anymore. Pawns cannot do a lot. All they can do is move forward. Unfortunately, this one cannot even do that. So I don't think I'm in any danger here. Coming into this square, huh? Definitely interesting. I'm not used to this kind of position. Normally my bishop is out here. You know, I don't have my bishop being cut out, so this is already a little bit strange of a flavor. And I don't have that many games where d4 is played, so I'm a little bit out of my own experience here. So if he plays knight e3 and I take, the pawn comes in. Is that good for him? Or is that good for me? His pawn sitting in my house. Like, hey guys, I'm in your house and I'm about to die. I think his pawn would be very difficult for him to defend. What if I just kind of attacked it, you know? You know? I think that'd be pretty rough for him. Is it too deep into enemy lines? I have that feeling. I have a feeling. But I don't want to lose this pawn if I take this with the bishop. You know what I mean? It's possible that it's okay to lose it, but I don't think I want to lose it. So one option is b3. Rook b1 looks awful because I don't want to have my rook being a defending piece. I could play h3, but it seems like he's going to jump in even without it. So let's just play b3. Definitely have downsides to this move. You can see all these pawns on white squares. On the queen side, now I have weaknesses on the dark squares, specifically these squares here. No pawn of mine can ever attack that square. So advancing pawns should be done very thoughtfully because they can't go backwards. Unlike a knight, which can go backwards, I guess you knew that already, a pawn cannot go backwards. Yes, you have learned something new in chess. Pawns move forward. But it's actually a serious issue when you've got a square that a pawn can no longer attack because you can never get pawns back to attack that square. And that means that that could become kind of a hole in your position where you have difficulty holding on to that. Now in this specific position, these holes are really advanced in my position, so I won't have too much trouble defending them. But still, you don't like holes, so this is not great. I'm gonna play h3 here. I thought he would just move in right now. I mean, something weird could happen. Maybe he'll cast the queen side. I think that'd be a big mistake because he'd be walking into a pretty strong attack this way, but it is possible. Say hello to him. Seems reasonable. But yeah, I'm waiting for him to do this because I don't really need h3 played right now. The bishop, also, I'm not sure where to develop it because I plan to trade it for his knight. So I guess I'll play h3 next and put the question to him. The onus will be on him. Onus is such a cool word. It's like bonus, but it's missing the B. Should look up the exact definition of onus and then use it 3 times in one day. You'll be so glad I told you to do that. So I will play h3. This is actually really interesting if he just stays there. I mean, he could castle queenside and then leave his knight here so that if I take it, pawn takes, discover check, whammo, and then I've got, and then, you know, the pawn could take my knight, so maybe I'm blocking that, and then boom, 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 I'm losing a piece. This could be pretty dangerous. My queen out of play. These pieces out of play. I don't have much space in this area suddenly with his pawn coming down like this. So I think it's pretty risky for him to lose that knight. But it is dynamic, certainly. I mean, if his king goes this way suddenly, I don't think he's going to do it. But with h5, he's playing to the queen side. This is a huge shift for me. All this game, I was planning on attacking on the king side with these advanced pawns. I have to change my plans completely because there is no target over here. I need to be playing to the queen side, which means I need to play this side of the board pretty carefully. So if I take this knight and he takes back, I'm ahead a knight for a pawn. That's 2 points worth of material. I block the check, saving the knight. Let's say he just takes, and takes with check, okay? So now he's got his rook right here, and I move out of the way. So it's his turn. He's got his rook on h4. He's got his rook on h4. I think I could defend that pretty well. I mean, this knight's off the board, this bishop's off the board. These two are out of the game. The knight's out of the game because the f-pawn's keeping it out. The bishop's out of the game because if he ever pushes his to bring it in, then I can push his to block it, and then his bishop is on the wrong side of the wall. So maybe I should just go for that piece. Is it safe? Let's take a look one more time. Take, he definitely takes. Open file, discover check. He's attacking my knight, so I have to block that while saving the knight. What if he plays g5 then? I take, yeah, I don't think he wants that. It's defended by the bishop. His bishop is trapped out. I get the open file. Okay, so he takes with the bishop. I take with the pawn. His rook comes in. Rook h4 check. I play king over. Okay, he doubles his rooks, but he can't penetrate there. I've got the bishop covering h1. Meanwhile, the g-pawn is gone, so I could play knight g3 next, and the queen can quickly metabolize. The queen can quickly mobilize. I think I'll do it. See what happens. The entire tone of the game changes with this move because instead of playing, he's attacking, I'm attacking. Now I'm ahead in material, which means I do not need to attack. When things are even, I have to win somehow, right? And if he's attacking me, all I can do is attack in a different area of the board. If I only defend, then I'm being defensive. It's kind of weak. He's got the advantage. But now that I'm ahead a piece, defending is great because all I have to do is survive his attack and I win because knights are better than pawns. So this is where I planned f5 to keep the bishop out. Just make sure that's what I plan. Definitely keeps the knight out, keeps the bishop out. I think is really great. Seems good. The best thing to do when you're defending is to trade pieces because then he can't attack you with pieces because you just traded them. It's very, very helpful. Every pair of pieces that comes off the board. Is he trapping my knight? This is genius. So if I take this, I've got this en passant possibility here. I do save my knight, but that I'm opening up more files for him to attack through. Wow. So the fact that this pawn is here and this pawn is here, so really blocking my knight out. What are any other options besides this? I could move the knight here. No, I can't move the knight. Okay, that makes things simple. I don't have to think about those options. Take this pawn. No, I'm no longer ahead. That kind of sacrifice would be bad. So let's do this. Saves the knight. The rule for en passant, for those of you who are like, how did that even happen? If a pawn can capture a pawn, then a pawn can capture a pawn. But they added this special where pawns can move 2 squares in 1 turn. It's like the cheat mode for pawns, right? Bam. If they've never moved before, they can move 2 squares. So then they added another rule, which says if a pawn uses cheat mode, you can capture it as if it didn't. So in this case, if the pawn moved 1 square, here, let's look right here. If the pawn moved 1 square, then I could take it, right? So he used cheat mode. So then the rule is I can capture him as if he did not use that cheat mode. So I could take him on the square as if he had stopped right there. So that's the way that rule works out in practice. Moving out of the pin. So now I can save my knight. I've got to think he's going to take it because if I could take this pawn and get more trades and such, he definitely doesn't want that. I mean, playing g5 would be a big mistake for him, I think, because I can just come in and trade off one of his attacking pieces. He could also defend the g-pawn, but it just seems slow, especially because I can come in this way, quickly metabolize, materialize, and mobilize my pieces. But wow, I really am tied up. This attack, I'm up a piece here, but it's very difficult to defend. I mean, the bishop, all it's doing is defending. It's blocked in besides a bad pawn wall, and this pawn is really holding it in. The knight, also really trapped. This pawn is stopping it in this direction. My own pawn and this pawn stopping it in this direction. My knight is really stuck. So he's definitely got some of my pieces stopped up in exchange for that piece. I just have to get some trades to win this game. If I could take a pair of rooks off, another pair of minor pieces, maybe get this bishop traded for something else over here, maybe I could survive. This is actually a very useful defensive piece because the h1 square could be a dangerous penetration point if he gets his rooks doubled up and then he's like, bam, check. But he can't do that with the bishop here. So I'm okay. Now I can play knight g3, which I think is a really important move, actually. I think knight g3 is key. Just want to take a peek here. The reason is I don't want him to push this pawn, even if sacrificing it. Now the bishop comes in here. I want to keep that bishop out of the game, so knight g3 makes that happen. Yeah, so his bishop is out of the game, blocked by this pawn. His knight is pretty out of the game also because these two guys are kind of his. He can't take them. That's a special variant of chess where you can capture your own pieces. We're not playing that. So even if he pulls back here, he's blocked on this square. This square is under attack, right? So then he has to play here, and then he has to play here. Once his knight is here, then he's got some dangerous squares. So he's 2 moves away, plus maybe 3 for making that square open because he can't capture your own pieces. And then his knight is in a very dangerous aggressive position. But that's a few moves away. Might be able to do something in that time. I have this move, which forks his rooks. Maybe I should have done that. Let's look at one move ago. Yeah, that might have been a better move. Yeah, that's a pretty good move right there. Oh. I'm going to move my chair. There we go. I should have played bishop g5. That would have been so good. Ah, bad. Looks like he's still falling for it, though. Knight b4. This is, I consider to be a bad move because he's down a piece. He really has to stir up trouble for my king. And I don't see how this puts any pressure on my king. I really don't. It seems like a slow move. These 3 pawns are all defended fine. If he's planning on coming down here, it's simply not enough threat quickly enough. Maybe he's planning to bring his queen over, but it's just really slow. So let's see if this bishop g5 is going to be a strong move here. He can't take anything on the queen side that I'm scared about. I think maybe he's planning to try to open up this diagonal, because with this file covered, he's good to go, but I don't have to let him take this. Take, 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 take. I can leave this pawn here. So let's do it. So this D pawn is in the way, and I'm just going to make sure it stays that way. I am under no circumstances going to allow him to push it because I cannot defend this diagonal. I'd actually be in big trouble if he gets that diagonal open. I have nothing here, nothing there. That could be bad. So keep this pawn here and I'll be fine. The funny thing about this fork is that it's not about winning the material. Winning the exchange is nice, but I'm already ahead. The point is I'm taking one of his rooks off the board, and he is trying to attack with all his strength. Because he sacrificed a piece, he must attack me. And with one less rook, his attack is a lot weaker. So it's less that, oh yeah, I took a rook with a bishop, and it's more like, oh yeah, now he only has one rook. So any attack he comes with is going to be much, much weaker than he would have had with that rook on the board. Okay, so I'm pretty much winning now. I feel very confident about this. Let's see, play the check maybe, bring my pieces out quickly. A3 normally would make a lot of sense so that he's no longer doing anything in this area. At this point, though, maybe he would just leave that knight on the board because he's losing either way and just try to get his queen over here. I really feel good about this position. So I play check, king up. I don't really want to leave the c-pawn undefended here. The bishop and knight are just going to stay where they are. They're doing a good job defending, and they can't really improve their positions. A great rule of thumb, when you're kind of in a calm position in the middle game, you're like, what do I need to do next? Is to say, which of my pieces is doing the least? Which one is the worst? Instead of improving your best skill, and this is true in life too, if you're like, oh yeah, I'm so good at drying the dishes. I'm going to dry dishes all day. No, you say, okay, I'm already good enough at that. Now I need to learn how to wash the dishes. And in this case, this rook is doing nothing. So instead of saying, oh, I can make my rook do something a little bit better, I need to take the thing that's doing nothing and improve that. It'll be the biggest boost to my position. I think I'll throw the check in just for fun, though. I just love checking my opponents. I shouldn't. I shouldn't, though. So a3, queen d2, check. The check isn't that bad because I want to just put my other rook here. These are the moves I want to make. Is there any danger here? Maybe I should play queen d2 first. There's no danger. I mean, it doesn't even matter what I play. I'm so safe. I'm so winning. What is this? Extra rook? I've got 5 pawns on the board against his 7. So technically I have a rook against 2 pawns. But these 2 pawns, he'd be better off without them. They are actually the 2 pawns that are in his way, keeping him from attacking me. And plus, they're doubled up, they're isolated, so they're not going to work well together at all. This pawn looks really dumb. This pawn, at least, is a real pawn. So it's a rook for like 1.5 pawns. I am way, way ahead. All I have to do is get the rest of my pieces mobilized, materialized, whatever. And it'll be a quick win. This might not look like a big move. I mean, I'm only moving one piece, one square, but it's actually key when you're thinking about developing your pieces in the opening. You've got your bishops, your knights, your rooks, your queen. A lot of your pieces need to go somewhere to count as developed, right? Here's the rule for that. All you have to do is get it off the back rank. It seems weird, but it's true because once it's off the back, then it's out of the way. So I think he's going to try to... I think this check is really useful, actually, because the squares that he wants to go to get this queen going are guarded by the rook now. He can't play queen g8 to double up his queen and rook. And even if he could, there's no danger there because the bishop covers this square. But still, the check is fun. Now I'll play this, and then I'll double up. So just off the back rank, just moving the queen 1 square is actually a very effective move. The reason is it allows the rook to come into the game. Same thing with the bishop. I only move the bishop 1 square, but it's a long-range piece that can move a long ways in one move. So the bishop does not have to be like, yes, I'm developed. I moved 5 squares. No, just get it off the back rank. This is called a fianchetto, which is where the bishop is moved to the long diagonal. This is the longest diagonal on the chessboard. I guess it's tied for longest with this diagonal. Pretty cool. Pretty cool diagonals right there. That's all it takes. So this is what you'll see in a high-level game. Like, they'll bring out their pieces, and then bloop, the queen move, bloop, 1 square, bloop, like queen c2. Like, what? Why did you only move that 1 square? No, it totally makes sense because it's out of the way of the rooks. Now they can mobilize to the best files, and it's developed. So you can just think of any square off the back rank as development. The knights obviously need a little bit more because They don't move long range. So if you play 92, it still isn't attacking a lot. It's just kind of on your side of the board still. So players will think about how to get that a little bit further into the game, but not before the other pieces are developed. So with my extra rook, I'm doing great. See how in these last few moves my pieces have really jumped into gear. I played the exact moves I wanted to. I got this second rook into the game. Maybe this move. Yeah. So attacking his queen is fun, but the rook doesn't do much. And this just improves. This improves my worst piece. My queen wasn't doing much. Now it's doing more. Improve your worst piece. It's a very, very important rule of thumb. Which piece do I want to move? You don't say, I could do so much with my best piece. You say, which of my is my worst piece here that I can improve? Because then all your pieces work together as a team and they are much more effective. One of the things I'm trying to do more to improve is to leave tension on the board. When you see a situation where like two pawns are attacking, like in the opening where we had d5 and e4 and the pawns were attacking each other, as a fast player, I would immediately think, what happens if I take? It's a forcing move, he has to respond, especially at a really fast time control where the clock is actually an issue. By playing a forcing move, he has to respond to that. So if he's pre-moving some other move, like, he's already playing g6 so he can fianchetto his bishop, all of a sudden he has to change his move so that he can react to you. So forcing moves are really attractive as a fast player. To improve, you need to stop going for those forcing moves. If two rooks are attacking each other, do not just trade those rooks. You're giving up the tension and you're giving up control in that position. You're kind of giving control over to your opponent as he kind of guides you in that path. If you watch high level games, what you'll actually notice really standing out is leaving things on the board that you would have cleaned up. It's like, I would have taken that pawn by now, or I would have traded those knights. There's no way I would have left his piece able to move in that square. I would have attacked his piece. And in this case, this isn't a great example, but it is what reminded me of it. It's like, I want to move my rook to f6 because I can attack his queen. That's so exciting. This isn't a great example. I mean, rook f6 doesn't have much to do with what I'm talking about, but it does remind me that good players will leave tension on the board and they'll get themselves into these really complex positions where these two pawns are attacking and these two pawns are attacking, and a trade could happen at any time, and they don't trade. They actually leave that on the board because if you can analyze that complexity, you can really run circles around your opponent. Speaking of which, I think I can now trap his queen, which is a very satisfying finish. Yeah, I love trapping the opponent's queen. I try to do that about once a game. And that's the game. Game 15,000! Write your congratulations in the chat and a comment below the video because I just won the 15,000th game on lichess.org. You can visit this website, LIChess, and play chess all by yourself. You don't even need my help. 15,000 games played. Chess Whiz is the winner. That was fantastic. I liked it. I love winning. So next episode is episode 350. You can see we're at 349 right now. That's a big, big milestone. Also, we're actually not going to play chess next episode. We're going to play a different game completely. It's going to be a lot of fun, so don't miss that. The schedule is on the website at chesswiz.tv, and I'll just tell you what it is. Tuesdays and Saturdays right now at 3 p.m. GMT. If you're in the United States, that's Tuesdays at 8 in the morning on the Pacific Coast or 11 in the morning on the East Coast, which is really bad for Tuesdays because it's like, well, I have school or I have work or I have something, I have a life. Well, lucky for you, ChessWiz does not, so we get to stream on Tuesdays. On Saturdays, same schedule. It's a lot better for you weekend folks. This chess channel has a lot of interesting chess variants, so if you haven't looked around, take a look around at the other videos because you're probably going to find a variant that you want to try. A lot of interesting rule sets there. This has been ChessWiz TV. Thanks for watching.